Welcome aboard to podcast number 12 in the series of the Voyage to Back Yonder. Last episode, we talked a bit about the disappointments of our lives and how the wreckage seems scattered in our path as we try to head back out into the sea of unconditional love. Calming ourselves to get out of fight or flight is an important piece of our journey if we want to steer clear and not run into those disappointing memories that feel like obstacles in our path. Something that we can come to terms with is that we don't need to clear all that wreckage or sandbars or coral reefs. They're a part of our experience here. As we move through them and into the ocean, we might feel an attachment to those memories of disappointments and those perceived pains or the devastation. And that is fantastic. That's why we come here, to experience those uncomfortable emotions, to feel out of control. Our fear ego will have provided us what I like to call factolings, which are facts based on feelings. We felt something, so it must be true. But all these feelings were based on thoughts that were created by what we thought we saw, or thought we heard, or thought we understood. And our thinking can change. And that means so can our lives and beliefs about how things should be. Now, our fear ego will try to mess with our journey home. They'll try to delay us. It is, after all, the job that we hired it to do. Keep us in the game as long as possible to experience the most we can here before we detach from this physical plane and return home to back yonder. So our fear ego will point us to the future, wanting us to know what is coming, what's our life purpose, because it wants to keep us influenced by the tree of good and evil, the drive to compare and contrast between things. We have this need to know that we are lovable and acceptable because our ego is whispering about the future when we might be rejected somehow. But when we try to figure out life, that's when confusion hits and we try to control life. We might feel that our lives have left us needing, and we could see empty places in our heart. But when we let life simply be what it is and explore it without trying to control it, then we have a clear head and a life that's full of amazing wonders. We can purpose to refrain from thinking about every nautical mile we're going to sail in the future. And rather than planning every step of the way with, first this, then this, then this, trying to define, every detail, we can let this trip feel less like a task and instead let it become an exciting adventure. As we sail past the memories of those situations that felt ugly or painful or depressing or sad, we don't have to set them on fire and destroy them as we sail past them. They are remnants of the great battles we have fought here. They made us who we are today, and we are amazing today. So maybe we can keep them as memorials, as celebrations of how we could have felt if we still believed that we were less of a powerful being, as we are now remembering that we truly are. It's like looking back at old pictures, realizing that the cool outfit we thought we had, or the awesome hairdo that we thought we had, we realized they were just a passing fad, like most things. But it was fun when we were there, but we are always here. So we can just remember the picture in our head and move on to the next thing without festering over that memory, judging it, or being embarrassed about it. We might even be able to muster a smile or a laugh and change the memory to something bright instead of something gloomy. You might have heard the term freedom of the seas or freedom of the open waters. True freedom is expressed in our internal world. External freedom is really a made-up story until we have freed ourselves on the inside. Then the external can never, ever hold us prisoner. If we feel imprisoned on the inside, then it won't matter what is going on in the outer world. We will still feel trapped because we experience life through the filter of our inner world. These prison bars are formed because we have been convinced to try to be perfect in this physical world. And our fear ego has provided us the ever-changing list of conditional love laws that must be obeyed in order to be lovable and acceptable. So much pressure. But we aren't really seeking perfection. We're seeking freedom. Freedom from the restricting conditional love. It's really all in the intentions. Because our thoughts will be based on either fear of not being good enough, acceptable enough, lovable enough, or it'll be based on unconditional love for ourselves. We seek to know wisdom and truth, not because it'll make us better than anyone else or a better person, because we really are all perfect. But we seek freedom from lies. We seek truth because it's an exciting experience. But it's what we came here for, to witness the emotions of fear, pain, depression, anxiety, sadness, frustration, anger, defensiveness, abandonment, judgment, unworthiness, pity. Oh my God, and the list goes on. We didn't come here to have a perfect life. We have that on the other side, back yonder, where we came from. This earthly plane needed to be really different from over there in order for us to want to come here. And of course, we also decided at some point to realize all this and start bringing back the emotions of our true self, those emotions of unconditional love, so that we can experience this myriad of emotions, conditional and unconditional, side by side. What a brilliant adventure it is to fly against the winds and soar higher and higher and higher, enjoying the contrast of unconditional love against all the conditions. The journey becomes a bright and amazing one when we can see the freedom we truly have, especially after being convinced that we were imprisoned for life. And that is what this journey of integration is. Traveling the waters on the sea of unconditional love, experiencing its brilliance, while still staying connected to the physical world as we proceed through the vast waters. As we start to plan for our long sea voyage home, We imagine there's going to be a lot of downtime where we're just sailing along in the ship. So we think, maybe I need to find a hobby to fill my time along the way. And as unconditional love takes over more space in our heart and our mind, the things we were normally driven to obtain, achieve, possess, all those things become less important and less interesting to us. It just happens. The more we become fulfilled internally, the less the external things fulfill us. When we start seeing that all of this world here is a giant movie playing around us, and that it is on a manufactured stage, we see that we can live whatever life we want to live. Because happiness is always a choice, no matter what situation we happen to be in. So we can think, if we were the only person on the planet, what would we do? What would we want to do? Who would we want to be? Think about that for a moment and just feel that freedom, being free from the expectations we think everyone has on us. When we get free of that, we can see clearly our power and our possibilities. And yes, we could have that mentality, even with all the billions of people on the planet with us. Sometimes it takes getting away from it all to be able to see it. It's truly the best gift we can give the world is a healthy us. When we give to everyone else first, we just drain ourselves and we become exhausted, and we're taught, you're being selfish if you think of yourself first. But when we give ourselves unconditional love first, it fills us up. And then everyone else can partake of the overflow. And we never feel exhausted. We feel full of energy. And when we're in that place, just overflowing with unconditional love, we can ask ourselves, how do I want to serve the world? Now that I have everything I need inside me, serving the world feels like a blessing we can be grateful for, rather than feeling like a chore that must be completed in order to be lovable. Next episode, we'll look at some ideas of how we can keep from being distracted and running into the reef. But until then, take some deep breaths and come to a place of calm. What do you love to do? What can you give the world? How do you want to express your unconditional love to the world? If you're having trouble answering those questions, I'm not surprised. When we're used to giving to everyone else first, it can feel odd at first to think of yourself first and know what your true passions of life are. So take some time to journal some thoughts. You can start today. Just take one of those questions at a time and sit with yourself. The answer will come. Enjoy your voyage. I love you.